All right, all right, all right. New stream starting now. This is my main set. It is not extremely old, but I definitely like to kind of give you an idea of where I'm at. Phyrexia All Blue 1, I've accomplished quite a bit. I think I was over like 95% of the entire set acquired. I didn't really focus on grinding, rank, or any of that kind of stuff. I just really focused since about a month ago when Phyrexia came out, just acquiring as much as I could. I had saved up a bunch of gold, I bought a bunch of packs, I built as many decks as I possibly could, and got my teeth kicked in quite a bit. I started to get into the swing of things and figured it out by the middle of the meta. But we're getting into kind of the late game end stage meta where people have really found a home for all these brand new cards into some of the more powerful and stronger cards that exist in the game. In the series and in the sets that happened prior to me showing up, right? So, looking at this set, the Brothers Wars, where I showed up to play, and you can see I didn't even fully acquire all of the commons. I mean, I'm still missing a common card out of here. I'm still missing 3 uncommon cards. And not a ton of the rares are MIA, but enough of them that there are some holes in my collection. Similarly, I don't have hardly anything with Dominaria United. I don't have Streets of New Capenna anywhere near the kind of, overall amount of um, penetration into the set. Like I just haven't acquired nearly enough to say, oh yeah, all these brand new cards. I've got the wedding announcements. I've got the bank busters. I've got the invoke despairs. I got it all. No problem. Let's go. But when you get to this point in the meta, that's kind of what you're starting to face. You're starting to face the most powerful cards combined with exactly how the most powerful usage of those cards would be. And since I've got a decent amount of cards, or I've got a decent amount of the Phyrexia All Be Ones, I have found that most of my decks really could use things like Despair. Invoke Despair is a good example. A couple of extra copies of the Bank Busters. But unfortunately, you can see my rares and mythics are really far down as far as the ability to just go out and craft them all. I would be able to make maybe one decision on there. So I've tried to get crafty. I have tried to build decks that are off meta, that sometimes steal some ideas that I see on YouTube. Most of the time, though, I take an idea that I see on YouTube, find out that I don't have anything close to what it would take to, 24 rares and 5 mythics away, right? So I'd love to do this control-y, planeswalker-y, amazing deck, but I need a lot more Storm the Festivals, a lot more Workshop War Chiefs, 4 completed Tamios, an extra Jace, which I'm hoping to grab. So this, isn't really a good use. Like I would go all the way to getting this deck, and then I wouldn't necessarily be able to do much with it. It's a very powerful deck. It's very strong. I love the ramp technique. I love the Planeswalker, Super Friends top, and the Storm of the Festivals as a way to grab that kind of stuff is just genius. I think that this deck overall is better than a 50% win deck just in anybody's hands. But if you know how to play it and you get very, very creative with things like your Topiary Stompers, your Many Journeys, and your Bank Busters, and you'll be able to control the board long enough to start seeing things like Jace and Tameo come down. Ultimately, you want to get to the Teferi. If you can get to the Teferi, it's really hard for somebody like the card draw, overstorms you. And it's just a fun deck to play. It looks really neat, but I can't build it. I just don't have 35 rare cards to go. So I have looked at other decks that kind of lean into the format a little bit. These are the best black rats, or the BB rats, that are out there. I do have my 1 copy of Invoke Despair. Ooh, don't tell anybody. Shh, I got it. But man, have I loved playing with this deck. This deck is super fun. This is not anything more than a 50-50 win chance on the ladder. But this is a fun one because you know that you're going to curve out well. You're so low to the ground. You've got so many rats in this deck. Just going to point this out. 4. Right? 8, 16, I'm sorry, 12, 16, 20. So we've got 20 total rats in this deck. But the best part about this deck is things like the Necrogen Communion and the Nezumi Prowler. And the reason why these two are such a pivotal part of this deck, and I think it's Philippa is the YouTube streamer that I saw that was using it. I'm not even sure if she had the Necrogen Communion into it, but she did have the Prowler, so I'm going to give her credit for that. And she also brought in the Reckoner Raid for me. I didn't recognize that there was a rat that comes out at the back end of this. The reason why I like it is because we can play this out and try this, and we'll do some demonstrations. But let's pretend for a second that you throw your Reckoner on turn 1. On turn 2, you don't throw your Prowler. You hold on to it, and you do whatever the heck you want. Maybe you life it to Shiro, who knows. But then on turn 3, you throw your Rat King out there, just as an example, right? So we are at a situation now where you should have some more rats in hand. It's kind of like card advantage that you've built. Turn 4 shows up, and guess what? This dude is ready to attack. So you attack, and he has Menace. What Menace does is require 2 blockers. Since he doesn't really pose that big of a threat, and he does, what you're going to do is you're going to get a block on Karamonix, and you're not going to get a block on your Reckoner Raid. So, who cares what we block with? We don't mind. We can, on turn 4, take 2 of our mana, toss a Necrogen Communion onto Karamonix on the attack, and then take the other 2 mana that we've got and flip out the Reckoner Raid and flip him in, giving this guy Death Touch and giving this guy the ability to kill whatever is blocking him. So, you know, he's got the Toxic 1. This thing grants him 2 extra Toxic. So 3 Toxic. He's got to be blocked. Otherwise, he's instantly corrupting a guy. He comes back to your... he dies, and then he comes back to the board. And guess what he does? He draws you more rats, right? This dude jumped in. This dude jumped back into your hand. He's no longer a 2/2 menacing rat. He's now a 1 mana enhancement that is guaranteed to take 2 life off of theirs and add 2 life back to you. And then he'll come back as a menacing, rat again. And what's left on the board is Karamonix as a 3/3 and Nezumi Prowler as a 3/1. They've lost a character on their end. You've gained the 3 life off of the attack with Karamonix because of the life gain that's on there. You've gained the ability to gain 2 extra life. So it's a removal, life gain, improve the board state, get a reset on something, and ultimately you haven't missed a step. They get very, very frustrated very, very quickly on these kinds of decks. The Prowler is just an integral part of making sure that you have enough cards in your hand because the way that these two can work. That is the most ideal circumstance where you go Reckoner Raid, keep the Necrogen in your hand, drop the Karamonix, and then on turn 4, unleash hell like on them. It's one of the only major tricks that you're going to get removal, but it's not uncommon for me to do it 2 or 3 times in a single game. Removing their stuff off their board is really, really nice. The other aspect that you could do is you could take a Gnawing Vermin out. And the reason why the Gnawing Vermin is another super integral part is that we're playing mono black, and which means that we're going to be going up against Phyrexian Devastators, right? Every time you damage that guy, the amount of damage that you do is equal to the number of permanents that you have to destroy. That's not fun. No, but what if we just did 1, right? If I could just give up 1 land, I could just give up 1 rat to get rid of a Phyrexian Obliterator. And so, again, these 2 cards are on the deck. Nezumi comes in, gives this one Death Touch. He gets blocked. Like, you just attack with, this guy and this guy, knowing this guy can't get blocked. This guy is guaranteed to get blocked. And boom, you've got yourself a decent little setup and a removal using a total of 1, 2, 3 mana total. Maybe 4 to take out one of the toughest cards in the game. There are other things that you can do to damage them and get rid of them. But the Gnawing Vermin has a chance to do it a little bit cleaner. Otherwise, Anoint with Affliction, Drown in Ichor, Whispers of Dross, these are all removal spells that get much, much stronger once we're corrupted. And even though it looks like this is a corruption type of deck, the reality is we don't corrupt, or we don't have toxic, we don't have toxic, we don't have toxic on more than half of our rats. We kind of require this guy in order to enable the toxic kind of mentality. I think we go wide and we chip away at their health and we heal ourselves. So I would say that very rarely am I winning via toxic on this. Most of the time. The only time that I really think like toxic becomes like the guaranteed win strat is when they've got some life gain and I need to get really, really wide in a later game state in order to get around maybe they're being very, very wide. So yeah. Looking at this now, this is not that expensive of a card. I mean, it's just an uncommon. And Whispers of the Dross is not that useful of a card. And after telling you that I really don't desperately need to kill anybody with Toxic, the -1/-1 just isn't that amazing. Especially when I've got two -1/-1s built into this card right here. One that comes out as soon as I cast it. So we're going to go with this instead and try something a little bit different. Maybe get a stronger body and maybe kind of listen to what I'm saying to you and take a little bit of heat off of, killing them via toxic and add a little bit of heat on removing tiny little chump blockers, mites. They're trying to toxic us up with things like Skrelv's Hive. This kind of stuff works a little bit better. Obviously, Invoke Despair is an amazing card. We are in a solid black setup. There's no reason why we wouldn't want to cast this card. I just don't have a ton of copies of it. I could totally round out the deck and at least add one more instead of the Whispers of the Dross, and probably make a lot of my black decks a lot more powerful. But we're going to hold off on that and just see how we hang with our rats. And we're going to be grinding the ladder. It's not the best way to grind the ladder. If we really wanted to grind the ladder, I would say we use something like this Mono White deck. Mono White is extremely strong, and we've got a good build for it. I've played around with 2 Eternal Wanderers and just 1 Eternal Wanderer. I've kind of gone back and forth. I've also looked at these White Sun Twilights and thought, maybe 2 of these isn't really great. I mean, a lot of times I draw this card in the beginning, and it just sits in my hand until turn 6 or 7. It's just too slow. It's, over here as far as like solid usefulness. We really don't have any toxic theme along the way. It becomes a haymaker in order to get some health back. So 1 less of those. 1 more. All 3 of these are great. And the way that this deck plays out, a lot of the times the game is over before I get to the turn 5 and turn 6's worth of mana that's on there. Most of the games that I have won with this deck are because I was able to control the board state with things like ossification. Most of the games that I've lost are because I didn't draw any of these removal spells. I've got 4, 8, 9, 11. I didn't, and then I've got a Depopulate and an Eternal Wanderer and a White Sun's Twilight. So you can kind of see that this is really about controlling the state of the board, and if it starts to get out of hand, these sweeper techniques are great to play catch up on. Ayo the Dawn Sky does belong here as a flying vigilant finisher. So does the Phyrexian Vindicator as a flying finisher. What's kind of cool about AO is like when it dies, you can cast a Phyrexian Vindicator out of it. So it's like getting a 2-for-1 on there, which is why it's worth a little bit more. You can also just cast Wandering Emperor though out of this. I think non-land permanents with total mana value of 4 or less, right? So, gotta love me some Wandering Emperor in there. Morel would be great in keeping the board wide. Not sure I'm in love with Wedding Announcements. I can never find a place to cast this card in the way that these games go. So, yeah, we could goof around and tweak our mono white deck for a ton. But we're gonna take a break from that. We're gonna go to the rats, and we're gonna see how the rats fare in ranked. As far as where we are currently, we are right at, I think, Platinum Tier 3. So with the meta improving the way it's been improving, this has been difficult. Unless I'm using something that's more meta. Right? Okay. 2-turn, 3-turn, trick on the back end. We're good. I know we don't have everything worked out, but aha, we got a 1-drop. So, cool thing about the 1-drop is you can mill opponent, and you can get a sense of what you're facing. So we've got mono black signaled here, and there's the Invoke Despair, and all creatures get -2/-2, and if a creature would die, you get to exile it. So we have a black control deck coming our way. Field of Ruin is going to be a sacrifice. There could be things like the Tenacious Underdog in there, and that's fine by me. I don't have the mana left to do anything except this, but loving it. Totally worth the trade. We're going to gain the 2 life. We're going to throw another Gnawing Vermin in there. Maybe we can get lucky and get rid of another Invoke Despair. More removal. This man loves his removal. Or woman. It could be. Rafa could be a girl. I don't know. But I would expect a lot of removal out of this deck. Hey, what a shocker. Look at the top card. Create a Vampire. We're going to create a Vampire just like that. And we can anoint that. What? You don't like when removal happens to you? No. You wouldn't do like that. Alright. Nice. 4-mana card comes out. Relatively neutralized. Not completely neutralized, but relatively neutralized. Congratulations. You cast an Invoke Despair. Alright. As far as control is concerned, we're not going to do very well here, but that always helps. Really think the card king is really a card to draw. Oh, what a shocker. Kill it. Kill it. Mr. Controller, you gonna do it. So the answer to this much control would be to go a little bit wide. Unfortunately, we don't have Children's Edict. That would be really nice. This will help us go a little bit wide. I kind of dig it. He's going to make us drop a card, and we would just drop the Vermin if we do. Sorin can make another flyer, which would be good. Good news, good news. Now, we are going to drown that flyer in Ichor, and we are going to remove both of those if we can. Depends on what he casts here. You wish there was, but there's none for you. All right. Um, get rid of that. And if we cast another creature right now, there's not a lot that can happen out of that. I kind of want to save the Communion for the Rat King, especially because of the amount of removal that's on there. And so we're actually not going to cast anything else. We're going to attack and remove her because she can really frustrate us with getting the board clear, taking cards out of our hands. What a shocker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've almost faced half the removal spells in the game. Normally the ninjutsu effect is super important, but since we don't seem to have much to counterbalance all of this removal, I think I'd rather just have a creature on deck and pull another removal spell out. Especially if you cast something like an Invoke Despair. Right? So, we're back to this. What a shocker, he's got a removal spell. No way. Impossible. We'll just get rid of this, unfortunately. We really, really, really want to get one more mana so that we can put that on the Rat King and replenish some of these cards that are out there. And we didn't, unfortunately. So this is coming out, and we're hoping to hit some rats. And we hit none. Which happens. You got more removal? I think it's concede time. What do you think? Yeah. The only purpose of sticking around is if the guy makes a huge error, but he's just not going to, right? Like, he's got his 19 removals and his 2 planeswalkers that come out on the cheap, and there's not really much way around that if you didn't come into the game with planeswalker removal setup, right? So, we didn't get the mana that was necessary to cast the kinds of cards that were necessary to take out the guy. It's pretty scary. Alright, we'll keep it. I almost keep any hand that has a Rat King and 3 mana. Almost. We could be facing Esper Legends here. No, it doesn't look like it anymore. This looks like a blue-red spelly control deck. I would say something along the lines of, you know, like Serum Horror, Foul Wars, like quite a bit of stuff that's on there. We're not sticking around with that. We're going to do all attack, and we're going to remove that. Yeah, he wants me to say nice and thanks and stuff, but we're just not going to. Okay, we will throw this out there, fully expecting a counterspell here, unfortunately. He wants my card. That's unfair. Yeah. Oh, serious. Give me my card back. Fine by me. We got all of the removal in the world and nothing to do with it. I kind of like tossing this out there, and it's going to seem a little strange, but I kind of think that we should kill our own guy. What am I fearing here? Colorless drone that can attack on his own. One creature can't block or attack until next turn. He's going to keep doing that, which is going to keep being this guy. So, why not, right? Yeah. Kill our guy. What? I messed up. I anointed, which exiled the creature instead of killing the creature. And by doing it that way, the creature didn't go to the graveyard and didn't come back. I didn't know that. I learned something new. I probably shouldn't have quit the game. I probably stood a chance, but with him out there already with the Planeswalker on the board, already like sitting there with his mana sitting wide open, it would have just been a long waste of time. I've definitely derailed my game fast enough to say there was no chance of coming back on that. We're going to keep 6, and we're going to remove a Whispers, and we're going to say good. Interesting. Why does it keep doing that? Huh. Is it you? It is. No? Something is buzzing. Alright, we'll deal with you later. Let's go. Wreck and raid, take your damage. Okay. Rats be rats, huh? Let's go. Let's see if our rats have any choice of any of theirs. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Your little bilious skull dwellers. Oh my god, what is happening? You are happening. I got it. We're good. All right. I think we would let the Skull Dweller go through and take out one of the rats in order to even the board stayed up just a little, or we just get annihilated. Being on the draw sucks. No. All right, my man is done. Yeah. No attacks. There it is. A lot of the similar stuff that I got. Um, well, he knew about the Prowler. That's why I tossed it out there. He doesn't know that I've got the second Rat King, and getting some removal on a character would be great. So we're removing, we're proliferating that. Just kidding. We're not proliferating anything. We're getting proliferated on. We haven't gotten our single character. Ouch. I can't draw land to save my life. To save my life. Unfortunately. Cool. That puts us at 8, which isn't great. But it does remove a couple of threats. Life at Toshiro is good, and giving a +2 to this guy would be great. All attack is even better, and we're moving on. Keep it on, keep it on. I think we just do that. Click next, all attack. If I don't do that, I've got him covered. So I think we're just doing it this way. Isn't that exciting? Oh! Our rats were better than your rats. See, I think that this is the mentality that people have when it comes to the rat deck. That it's all about poison. There's not one Rat King in this deck. There was a significant number of these Bilious Skull Dwellers, which don't need the other rat. They have this death touch. They look super strong. And a lot like how Mono Red really fizzles out, the rat deck truly fizzles out in cards. Unless you have a way to draw. If you can draw, you can survive. And if you can survive, even an 8 on the poison side, move on. So we're 500, or maybe we're less than 500. We are 1 and 2 so far, and that one was super grindy for the rat deck. We got a Reckoner Raid. We got 2 mana. We don't have anything else. I'm gonna keep it, and the reason I'm gonna keep it is I've got the capability. I hate the idea of going down a card. I've got the capability of dropping a 2-drop, and then I've got the capability of putting something on there to make it beefier, and we can survive, right? We don't know what we're facing. Is it worth finding that out? The answer to that is yes. We're facing black land. He'll take his my life at Toshiro. Oh. Rat King, and I'd like to use the Necrogen Communion on the Rat King, or the Prowler. If we can get the Prowler, we can do much, much better. So, we be rampant right now, and I'd probably just do the +2 on this creature in order to turn that into a trade, right? And is it worth sticking some Necrogen Communion on him? No, it's just not. Only the non-vermin can be blocked by one player. And so there wasn't a big reason for me to go too far. Now, it's turn 4 for him. My man's got 4 different swamps, or essentially swamps that's out there. So this is where we can see things like the Phyrexian Obliterator. Flesh Gorger is a good example of something that we can see. This is a fight deck? A fight deck. Yeah, that's fine. Take it. Smith's all attack. What? Man. My man just cleaned that board up. If we can get one more mana, we're going to do our own. But it will move the needle down on you. And the nice part about Invoke Despair is the -4 that can happen with it after he sacrifices his creatures. Jeez. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's very difficult to survive in the meta without cards like that. I mean, 2 of them cast that. Just very difficult. And not enough mana. I mean, what are we at? Turn 7 or an 8? And we just don't have the mana it takes to survive. We don't have the mana to even cast the spell. We might want to get rid of a Saga. That's game. Well, no, it's not game. If I can pull one single land card, I can cast the Invoke Despair, remove 2 of these things, including the Vraska, which is the like scary one, and then maybe a Rat King shows up on the next turn. But this is difficult. We're not doing great. Come on, mana. There you go. Okay, so the theory is, and single Invoke Despair and another Reckoner Raid might be enough, because we might be able to survive one more attack. But it literally has to fall in that range, right? Okay. So it puts him in a -2 situation. Aren't you full of removal? Removal, 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 removal. Remove your card before we remove. Just crazy. Oh, good. I got the mana and not a card that I can use. Give me a Reckoner's Raid. I got one more left, but only a 2% chance of grinding it. I need the only way around. And it's got to be on this turn. Or, you know what would help? It's not just that. I think that I think that there is other cards that would help too. Land isn't it, though. Anyway, we're going to wish our opponent a good game. They beat us fair and square. We got land. Finally, after all of our cards sat there useless for as long as they did. Alright. A lot of Invoke Despairs, Vraska, Phyrexian Obliterator. I mean, everything in the kitchen sink, right? Getting thrown at you on stuff like that. And that's what I mean by the fact that, like, this is tough. It's tough to climb the ladder during this. I've had a lot of Prowlers in the past, but the Whispers of the Dross just don't really have much going for them in that nature. And I kind of think that we come down a notch and come up a notch. I'm never going to regret crafting an Invoke Despair. I have 3, so let's go for it. Finish the deck. And so all I've done is take out Life of Tashiro, a really good middle game card, a very poor late game card. This can actually be a good late game card because of the, don't have to get through their defenses to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish. And then this is just an amazing card at all points of the game. So what I did, since we went up a little bit, is I got a little closer to 24 lands in hopes to smooth out some of that land draw, because that was brutal, man. We did not have the land to cast that Invoke Despair until turn 10, right? I mean, at least it could have been even turn 11 that was in there. That's just way too late for a 5 mana, like way too late. We started with 3, so out of however many draws, what, 11 draws, and we've got about a 45-ish% chance, maybe a 42-ish% chance if we're running the lands a little shy. So, a little bit less than a coin flip, and 11 times before we got our, or 10 times before we got our 5th mana, like our second one. Like, that's just crazy. Crazy. So, try it again. We're 1 and 3 now. That game got a lot closer. Just like I said, if our Rat King hits 1 extra card, that's a card that we can cast, and that's probably a life that we can gain. I'm going to keep it. It's a lot of mana, so we are really hoping for something that will help us draw rats. Something like a Rat King would be a great example of something to deal with. Alright, here we go. One for you. I never noticed it, but depending on the number of lands that you want to run, just run a 9-card game, Sure, we can throw the rat, but that card is so annoying. Like, so annoying. Life of Tashiro would have been a good -1/-1 on that. Would have saved it for me. Definitely made the mistake of not casting this instead. Okay. We are tossing you out. Oops, okay. Rats! Okay. Okay. I definitely want to see what's going on in this deck. Okay, so we're just dealing with white-green toxic aggro, right? Everything's been low to the ground that we've seen cast so far, and the idea is just toxify them up. I'll keep the gnawing vermin back. I will go next to attack with this guy, and say next, and then swip him out of there. No reason to keep him in there. Yeah. We gain some life, do some damage. We can block our 1/1 and remove the second 1/1 with the gnawing vermin. So we've actually got both of these mites covered if he chooses to attack. And there's the Rotten Priest. One good thing about this deck is that it's not really built with a bunch of protection spells like all over the place. So, not really a lot that we have to worry about. Alright, we are going to go back out here with our Caramonics and swing and miss. Again, that's not good. That is not good. I like the life of Tashiro. I like the idea of maybe giving him the +2/+2 so that his attack becomes much more threatening and it encourages the Venerated Raw Priest. And if it doesn't happen that way, the Venerated Raw Priest is still covered by Caramonics. So we're all right. Now another Prowler would allow us to do what we just did and double cast the Rat King. Don't like that. Yeah, gotten 2. Not enough to be scary as far as attacking is concerned. He's got another one he could do. Give me 2 more. No. You should have done it on the other one, then you would have been able to attack. But you didn't. That's okay. Why does this keep coming back? He gets just flashing it back over and over again, huh? Nice move. I have to block. He should be doing both. I don't understand though. It's just one extra thing I can't really deal with right now. It's too expensive. I think we gotta cover up. We can mill some more. And okay. Dead if he's got it. Doesn't. Gotta land. Yay. I mean, there's not much I can hope to accomplish here. We need the Rat King, but we don't have the capability of casting him. He can help one guy get across the finish line. And if he does that... Okay. That's okay too. There just wasn't anything I could do. Nothing I could do. Might be slipping with the rats. There's a lot of bad draw there. No removal. All land when I don't need it to be land. Like, really, really bad draw. Kind of unfortunate there. We're going to make this one a 1 hour one. Go get some lunch. Definitely got our teeth kicked in here on the ladder. But that's because we're playing off meta, right? If we wanted to play like some of the other meta deck games, we could definitely do better and we could climb pretty quick. Just don't like slipping. Hoping to draw a different 2-drop. Complete waste. This wouldn't have been a complete waste, but I'd rather have targets. Yeah, exactly. Out of line. Did I get this right? I can attack and kill the Adeline if she blocks? Yeah. Or I could do the +2/+2 and not die and kill the Adeline. Like, that seems better. That's good. Kind of feel like drowning this. Getting rid of that. I like the proliferate, puts the guy up on the deck a little faster. Drop out the Wrecking Array here. And we're making things happen, Captain. If he puts out, like, can't cast a Phyrexian Obliterator, or not the, but the other one, that I can live with. Kaboom. Go here. Alright, Mr. Go Wide. Let's go here. Just whittle away at these guys. I don't really like it. There's nothing I can worry about here. He clearly has a plan that requires the go wide strategy, right? Requires it all the way across the board. There it is. I think we just keep getting rid of these guys. Right? I think we bring out our Rat King. And back him up with another Rat King. If we attack I kind of like the idea of attacking with just one. If I attack with two, I will lose a Prowler, which is okay. I will get rid of one of their bodies, which will make the Queen in range, so to speak. If I just attack with the one, I'm just getting rid of the body. I'd like to get rid of... I kind of accomplished the same thing, huh? Yeah, I think I all attack. And they be thinking. They be thinking. They overthunk it. Good for you. So, Invoke's not going to do anything. Life of Toshiro, though, will get rid of, like, the launch veteran, which is extremely important in the game. We can pick which one we want to get rid of, and we want to get rid of that one. Goodbye. And we can throw out the rat. And we should attack because we can't throw out our second rat unless our first Rat King dies. And so we need this thing to die. We might as well take out a couple of cats with him. And if we don't, we get to stay wide, which is great. You gonna keep taking damage? You are. Life is good. The +2 is not going to do me any good. The -1's just continually whittle down, but there's just too many at this point. It's not going to make a difference. Invoke Despair just loses a 1/1. That's not going to work too good. We need to go as wide as possible. We're going to focus on the go wide strat. If we all attack right now, we're just going to whittle those things down, but I think that that's worth. I'll lose one thing, and I don't care what that thing is. I wouldn't mind getting rid of a couple more of these guys. Keep it coming full steam. It's actually... So he has 5, and he'll make 5 more. I don't know if I've got a way around that. Would love a -1/1 sweeper. I messed up. I could have cast the Invoke Despair when the Rabble Rousing showed up. If I would have cast that earlier, this could have gone away, and I would have been fine. maybe that second Invoke Despair shows up. GG. Yeah. It wouldn't have mattered. If I had to cast it earlier, and I'm going to go back and watch the tape, because why not? If I had to cast it earlier, I could have removed the enchantment. If I would have removed the enchantment, then a lot of that ground doesn't come back in my face. That's just me not knowing how to play. Okay, we're going to call it a break.